A Look at Technology is underwritten by Colden Company, Business Technology Solutions.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Tuesday, so it's time to talk tech with Jerry Friedman from Colden Company. Not the Colden Company.
Not the Colden Company.
Colden Company.
That's right, Jesse.
Business Solutions.
That's us.
Well, thank God for you. And today we're going to talk about mobile devices. And to prove the point, we've got a tricorder from Star Trek. Anybody recognize this? Hello?
That was state of the art at one point.
Okay, I don't know whether it's a tricorder. You have to be a Star Trek junkie to recognize that. Or whether this is really what we used to carry around.
That's what we used to carry around.
This was not known as a smartphone.
That was a pretty dumb phone.
That was a pretty dumb phone. All right, so the face of business is really changing.
Yeah.
We're now in a mobile device world, which includes smartphones and tablets, correct?
Yes.
What does that mean for the changing face of business?
Well, there was a study recently that showed that smartphones and tablets were, outside of business hours, the preferred devices that people were using. And a lot of tablet users are trying to get more access to the business functions so they can either work at home, which extends your productivity, or allows you to work remotely. The problem with that is the more handsets, the more tablets that are out there, the more access for being hacked.
Right, for sure. I bet there's a lot more risk. Well, we're not living in a world of 9 to 5 anymore, let's face it.
That's true.
Everyone is working at home, and everyone's got a phone glued to their head or a tablet glued to their lap, right? So obviously, extending beyond the normal modes of work in the 9 to 5 and whatever you're working at night, what are the risks involved with using devices that are tied to your business?
There are a couple of risks. The first thing is, when we were having the old phones available, the company owned the phone, the company could control the phone in many cases. Now that people are using their own smartphones, their own tablets, it's what's called BYOD, or bring your own device. It's very difficult for a company to lock down and manage a device that they don't own.
Right.
So that is a big problem. And when people bring different types of devices in, they're not always compatible with the line of business software that the company is using. So that creates some compatibility issues. But security is probably the thing that you really want to look at first.
Boy, I bet. And let's face it, you can talk all you want about technology. We're human beings. And I think that the statistic that we were talking about is that 3,500 cell phones were left at airports last year?
Yeah, between tablets and cell phones, smartphones, 3,500 were left at the airports, and then you add about another 4,000 laptops in there. And the scary thing was about 65% of the cell phones, at least, weren't even locked with PIN code. So if you have your access to business data on that device, you're giving away the keys to the kingdom.
Wow, and you realize that that's, of course, sensitive information. It's business.
Right.
Okay, so we've already established the fact that we're in a smart world, a smartphone world, tablets, people are human, they're going to be living in their places. As the expert, what do you do to protect yourself in this situation?
Well, one of the first things that you need to do is, if you're going to be allowing your workers to extend their working off of the traditional laptop or desktop, you need to have some sort of policy, and a written policy that says, who owns the device? Is it a company-owned device? Is it a BYOD, or bring your own device? What the security procedures are there? What access to data and what data you're allowed to have on that device? Those are some very critical decisions that you need to make. And then you also go to what's called mobile device management, where you can track the device. Company-owned devices, you can be a little more strict in terms of locking down, but the BYOD devices, you can still do things like wipe them if they're lost, and enforce things like PIN codes, so they at least are password protected, make it a little bit more difficult to get into.
Got it. Okay, so we're talking about a number of preventative measures there.
Right.
Let's say that fails. Someone leaves their phone, leaves their laptop at an airport, it's hacked. What does a company do at that point?
Well, a good security procedure is going to have a whole process for what to do in the case of a data breach. Now, data breaches can be very expensive depending on what kind of regulatory environment you live in. If it's HIPAA or financial, you could also get have to do things like Target did, where you have to do credit monitoring, or if it's a HIPAA violation and you need to report that that data breach, the fines can be very expensive. So having mobile device management is really cheap insurance.
Yeah, right. And I guess that's the key. One of the things that you always say to me is that if you're staying current with technology, you're actually falling behind. That you have to be proactive about these things.
Right.
And if you're a small business, you know that everything that you work for is tied up in your ability to communicate using these devices. So you better pay attention.
Yeah,
right?
just having the tools at hand to make sure that you can control the data, and in the event of a breach or a loss, that you can wipe it to protect yourself. These are important things, and that's a service that we do offer.
Well, that's great, Jerry. That's a lot of valuable information, and then as a business owner myself, I know how important it is to try to get ahead of that curve, and you don't always think that way. You don't think about leaving your cell phone someplace or leaving your laptop. And I guess we'll just wind up by, do you think we can get Jean-Luc Picard?
I think that's more of a William Shatner era device.
Oh, so beam me up, Scotty.
That's it, yeah.
Beam me up, Scotty.
Make sure that the lithium crystals aren't fused.
And we'll see you next Tuesday.
Very good.
Yeah, that
Thank
sounds
you.
good. Hey, if you want to see this interview again, you can head to our website, looktvonline.com.